Good evening, Sydney! You're all looking super beautiful tonight. Are you ready to have the most hilarious, outrageous, and maybe a little bit spicy talk of the Sydney Comedy Festival? Yeah! Because I'm going to be talking about computers. Yeah, that's right. I'm Danni, and I'm a quantum physicist, and I work at UNSW building quantum computers. Fun times. So usually when I tell people that I'm a quantum physicist, they give me a quick up and down, and they're like, ha, that's cute. But what do you really do? But after a short time, they'll realize I'm actually a massive nerd. And now, it might be my English accent, but I've been called the Quantum Hermione Granger before. But unfortunately, there's no Ron Weasley in my life. It turns out that men just prefer witches to quantum computing bitches. So why did I choose to become a quantum physicist? Well, I get to play with tiny atoms and electrons. I get to solve really complex problems and get really creative. But the main reason why I chose to be a quantum physicist is boys. Just look at boss bitch Marie Curie here at the first quantum physics conference. Look how thrilled she is to be surrounded by the world's most nerdy sausage fest. It's probably because she knows that she's the only one out of all of them that's got 2 Nobel Prizes in different fields. Go girl! Yeah. So, fortunately for me, not much has changed since 1927. I get to be surrounded by men all the time. But this begs the question, why am I still single? Well, it's probably because I'm using this as my primary dating app. Still, please connect with me if you're cute. Anyway, revealing that I work in quantum computing has its hazards for my dating life. For example, Charles from Balmain thought that it was hot that I was coding up a giant supercomputer. Chad from Bondi said with confidence that I was working on a fundamental particle he'd heard of called a quark. And Chaturanga from Byron Bay he asked me, can I please charge him crystals with quantum energy so that he can align his chakras? Absolutely outrageous. So I can't blame these guys too much because the fact of the matter is quantum computers don't exist yet. All of the computers surrounding us today, ranging from calculators to supercomputers, are based off classical physics. And this is the same type of physics that Isaac Newton used to explain why an apple fell on his head. And these classical computers are fundamentally incredibly slow at solving certain types of tricky problems. They're about as slow as your grandma sending a text message. Approximately the age of the universe. So, if we want to speed up solving these tricky problems, we can switch from the physics of apples to the physics of atoms. And who better to introduce quantum physics than the father of quantum physics himself, Erwin Schrödinger. Woo! Yeah. So Schrödinger noticed that at the scale of atoms, particles can behave as waves and be in more than one state at the same time before you measure them. He's very famous for this thought experiment in which a cat is placed in a box with some poison. And if a radioactive atom decays, well, the cat dies. But since the atom is a quantum particle, it behaves as if it's decayed and not yet decayed at the same time until it's measured. So that means that Schrödinger's poor cat is both dead and alive at the same time until we open the box. It's a poor thing. But in my opinion, because Schrödinger is so clever, and he's admittedly a little bit of a dish, I like to call the father of quantum physics Erwin Schrödaddy. Yeah. Woo! Anyway, back to the physics. So, when you throw a beanbag at a wall, it just hits the wall. However, when you shoot single electrons at two slits in a wall, something astonishing happens. An interference pattern appears on the screen, and this means that the electron must have passed through both slits at the same time. And this famous experiment is known as Young's double slit experiment. My friend told me about a woman with a double slit. I bet her husband thought she'd be an excellent quantum physics experiment. Anyway, how can we use quantum physics? How can we use quantum physics to build a computer? Well, in our classical computers, we use classical bits, which are 0 or 1. Whereas in a quantum computer, we use quantum bits, or qubits, that can be both 0 and 1 at the same time. Just like Schrodaddy's poor cat that's dead and alive at the same time. And when we entangle an extra qubit to a quantum computer, it doubles the power of it. So what can we do with this in future? Well, let me tell you about my favourite application. Because nature at the smallest scales is quantum, that means we can use a quantum computer to simulate molecules and their interactions very efficiently, granting us the power to design more drugs that will be able to solve more diseases in future. Just imagine, in future, we could cure the Charles, Chads and Chatterangas of the world from mansplaining. Alright, it sounds like I better hurry up and build one of these quantum computers then. So, at UNSW, we use the absolute textbook qubit of an electron spin. When you place an electron in a magnetic field, its spin will either point up or down, and these are our two levels that form the 0 and 1 of our qubit. So how do we make one of these? Well, I attach the electron to a single atom that I implant into a silicon chip. I shoot it in with an atomic gun. Ooh, yeah, that's what I thought too. When I heard I was going to be using an atomic gun, I thought, amazing, I'm going to look absolutely badass like Princess Leia. Yeah. But in reality, I just look like I'm working at a milk parlour. But still, maybe my milkshake can still bring all the boys to the yard. Alright, here I am in the clean room checking myself out in a silicon wafer that I've just implanted with a single atom. So I look like I'm about to head off into space because my devices that I fabricate are so tiny that a single grain of dust would absolutely destroy them. So once I've made my qubit, I have to measure it. And this funky looking golden chandelier thing is probably what people have in their minds when I mention quantum computers. But it's actually just a glorified fridge. The qubit device is actually just mounted down here at the bottom of the fridge. And the qubits are so sensitive that we need to get them to close to absolute 0 temperature so that we can remove the noise from their environment for them to work. And this impressive fridge can get down to colder than any natural place in the known universe. That is, of course, except from my ex's heart. Now, I think that absolutely everyone should be photographed next to one of these quantum computers to look really cool and interesting. So I snuck in a Tinder date into the lab to try and impress them. Here he is, mostly just looking confused and wondering how he ended up here. Did he slither into this Hermione Granger's Chamber of Secrets? Well... Here's another Tinder date that I snuck into the lab. Oh, sorry, no. Oh, that's Joe Biden at IBM, sorry. So to run a quantum algorithm, I'm going to be able to have to flip the spin of the electron from up to down, to flip it from 0 to 1, to run a quantum algorithm. And in our lab, we do this by firing it with microwaves, that we choose an exact energy to flip the spin. Great, that means I've built a qubit, I've got a single qubit, I can control it, job done, right? Wrong. We need millions of qubits to make a quantum computer do absolutely anything of use. But, you know, we've got a lot of heavyweight companies that are going to be competing to try and build the first quantum computer. And I don't mind which one of them succeeds, so long as it will help me find my dream man. Thank you so much for listening.